Welcome back to the fifth session of civics class. In my previous session, children, I gave you an homework on ABC part of chapter 1 civics. I hope so. You have done the assignment. Please verify the answers. I am going to give you the answers in your WhatsApp group and please verify your answers, whatever you have written from there. Today in this session, we are going to discuss about the questions of B part, that is brief questions, and E part, long questions. So let's come to the D part, short questions. First question is, cite any 3 examples to prove that our constitution is quite dynamic. Dynamic means it can be changed time to time. So these are the examples: nationalization of banks, right to education as a fundamental right, reservation for OBCs. There are also more examples: information, right to information. But only 3 examples have been asked, so you write these 3 examples. Now the next question. Identify any 3 provisions which makes the Constitution of India rigid as well as flexible. Rigid means which cannot be amended easily, and flexible, which can be amended according to the needs and aspirations of the people, which I have explained to you previously also. And these are the 3 provisions by which we can change, by which we can amend: simple majority, special majority, and ratification. In my previous class, somebody was asking about this word ratification. I explained this. Ratification means it is the official way to make some changes. Next question. India has a parliamentary form of government. Give any 3 examples to support your answer. How will you prove that India is really a parliamentary form of government? Children, it is very essential that you should understand the question. So how will you prove that India has a parliamentary form of government? The first example is that close relationship between legislature and executive. There are 3 organs: executive, legislature, and judiciary. But legislature and executive is working in and they are interdependent. But judiciary is working in an independent and impartial manner. The second point is Council of Ministers holds the office as long as it enjoys the confidence in the legislature. The third point is the head of the state is president, who is a nominal head, and prime minister is the real head. In a parliamentary form of government, prime minister is the real head. He is the only head of the government. The next question is, why Indian Federation called quite unique? Yes, this is very important. Why Indian Federation called quite unique? India is a federal form of government because the power is divided between center and states, but still it is unique. Now how it is unique? Because it is a combination of good points of several countries. I have discussed in my previous class also that we have borrowed different features from different constitutions, whether it is from Britain or from America, from Canada or from Ireland or from USSR. So it is federal in form but unitary in nature. So it is unique because division of power is between center and states. So this proves that it is having a federal form of government. But it is why it is unique, because strong central government, which proves that it is unitary in nature. In most of the cases, you will see that central government is more powerful. In coming chapter, we will read about the lists: union list, state list, concurrent list, and residual subjects, where you will come to know that in spite of having division of power between center and states, in most of the cases, center is more powerful. The third is independent judiciary, which interprets the constitution. If anything goes against the provision of the constitution, judiciary is the third organ which is going to interpret it, change it, take some steps against it. Next question. Explain the procedures of amending the Indian Constitution. There are 3 procedures: simple majority, special majority and ratification. Simple majority means, it means the bill should be approved by a majority of the members present and voting in both the houses of parliament. In special majority, we have two cases. One is absolute majority of total membership, and the second is 2/3 majority of the members present and voting. The third procedure is special majority and ratification. After the bill is passed by special majority in both the houses of the parliament, it may be approved by the legislature of at least half of the total number of Indian states. Means in India we have 28, so half, 14. It must be ratified, approved by the legislature of half of the Indian states. The next part is long questions. First question is, describe the composition and contribution of the Constituent Assembly of India. First part you will write the composition, and in the second part you will write about the contribution. So first, it is composition. It is the result of serious deliberation by a representative body. Which was the representative body? Constituent Assembly, which was an indirectly elected body. The assembly included these personalities: Dr. Bhimrao Ambedkar, Rajendra Prasad, Jawaharlal Nehru, Vallabhbhai Patel, and also included 15 female members. Now these are the contribution of those framers of the Constituent Assembly. Features of democracy was achieved because the main target was the democracy, where the rights of the people will be protected, where the people will be having the ultimate right. Second, guarantees justice, equality and freedom to all people. These things were not availed by our Indians before independence. That's why this was being more given focus, or you can say more stress was given to justice, equality and freedom. And lastly, ending the exploitation. As you all know that our Indian people were very much exploited in the hands of Britishers. So ending the exploitation, this was also main motto of the framers of the Constituent Assembly. The next question is, describe any 5 silent features of Indian Constitution. Previously also I have explained you number of features: unique, lengthiest, written, rigid, flexible, unitary and federal, parliamentary form of government. So here we are going to write the 5 features. The first is lengthiest. It is divided into 22 parts, 395 articles and 12 schedules. Second is written. It was drafted and enacted by the Constituent Assembly. It was indirectly elected. Third is rigid and flexible. Rigid means which cannot be amended. Flexible, which can be amended because it is progressive in nature. Next feature is universal adult franchise. You have read previously also in 6 and 7 that above 18 years of age, every citizen of India is entitled to vote without any discrimination on any grounds. Whether it should not be discriminated on the grounds of caste, color, creed, sex or religion. And the last feature is parliamentary form of government. Close relationship between legislature and executive. The Council of Ministers holds office as long as it enjoys the confidence. And the third point of parliamentary form of government is the head of the state is president, who is a nominal head, and the prime minister is the real head. Next question, 5 purposes which the Constitution of India serves towards strengthening democracy. Means what are the purposes by which we can make our democracy strong, strengthen one. First, it defines the nature of the political system of our country. Second, certain rights are guaranteed which is based on equality with the aim to establish social, political and economic justice. This point means that certain rights are being given which will be based on equality. Our first fundamental right is right to equality. Why? So that no any type of exploitation takes place and every people should get justice, socially, politically and economically. Next purpose, it guards our national interest. Our first focus is on our country's interest. So it guards our national interest. It also ensures that majority does not dominate the minorities. In our country, we have number of minority groups: Muslims, Christians, Jains, Buddhism, etc. Buddhists. But the majority should not dominate the minorities. That's why that type of constitution has been. The last purpose is lays down certain rules and regulations to safeguard against misuse of power. Our constitution has laid down certain rules and regulations so that after every 5 years when the government changes, when the power is given to those representatives or whoever forms the government, they should not misuse the power. Next question is, India is sovereign, socialist, secular, democratic, republic. Explain. I have previously also explained these terms. What does this sovereign, socialist, secular, democratic, republic means? Sovereign means our India is free from British rule. So it is free to take decisions regarding internal and external affairs. Next is socialist. Socialist means that everyone should be treated equal. No discrimination should take place because the aim is to end exploitation. Secular. Our country has no religion of its own and everyone is free to follow and propagate any religion it likes. Democratic. Ultimate, the power is in the hands of people. The people are giving vote, electing their representatives, and those representatives forms the government. So they are running the government on behalf of people. So the supreme power is vested in the hands of people. Republic means it is not a hereditary post. The head of the state is elected by the people. The last question, why do some people say that India is federation with unitary features? Explain with the help of 5 constitutional provisions. As I have told you earlier also that India has a federal form of government. There is a power division between center and state. But in most of the cases, or we can say that it is unitary in nature. So how we will prove this? That means we have to find out in the constitutional provisions those features, or you can say those examples which will prove the above statement. The first is powerful central government. In most of the cases, we will see that our government, central government is more powerful. Second is single citizenship. Whether we live in Maharashtra, whether we live in Bihar, we always have a single citizenship. We always say that we are Indians. Whereas in America and Australia, we have dual citizenship. Division of power between center and state, but Parliament has full control over Union list, which has more subjects and important ones, as well as residuary powers vest with the center. Power is divided between center and states, but in case of many cases, we will see that union government is more powerful. I have discussed this union list, state list, residuary subjects. In 3rd chapter, we will come across these lists in detail. Next is integrated judicial system with the Supreme Court at the top and the State High Court below it. Integrated judicial system. Integrated means one is attached to the other. But the highest apex court is Supreme Court, and the other high courts and subordinate courts, lower courts are working under Supreme Court. Single constitution is followed in India, and no such power is given to the states to frame their own constitution. That means in our country we have single constitution, we have federal form of government, but we have single constitution, and the state constitution of India is not only the constitution of center but also of the states. Means whether it is having state government or central government, we will follow only one Constitution. So these are all the question and answer which I have discussed from D and E part. Children, one thing I want to tell you that due to this COVID-19, all the shops are closed, so you won't be getting the map. So when the school will reopen, then we will be doing the map in class. So the questions which I have discussed here from D and E part, this is your home assignment, that please do this in your civics copy. I hope so you all have understood. Stay at home, stay healthy, stay safe.